But welcome everyone. I am really excited today to help introduce one of my favorite parts of this business and one of my favorite persons in this business and company. But before I do that, you guys, please let us know in the group chat right here where city and state you're from. And I'd love to know where everyone's coming from, Kyle, right? We've got people coming in. So, okay, Morristown, good. Morristown, New Jersey, Ian, welcome. Who else do we have here? So while people are coming in slowly, like I said earlier, I am so excited to do this, Kyle, and learn from you and learn about CRM strategies and what we're about to discuss because CRM is such a huge part of our business. So we've got people from Houston, Sacramento, they're all logging in. So welcome everyone. All right, so a little bit about Kyle. Kyle is the industry principal for Lone Wolf, and I saw something about Cloud CMA there too. So welcome, Kyle, and your entire team. I am excited, like I said earlier. Can we just dive into this, or should we wait a few minutes? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, thank you, Jake, for doing an introduction. Just a little bit about myself. I know that many of you have joined some of our previous webinars, but Lone Wolf does a lot of things across the industry. So we started as a back office, but over the years, we've really grew into a solution for all phases of the real estate and in all different entities. So whether you're an agent, which is kind of what we're going to talk through today, brokerages, back office, looking for data, we do all kinds of things. And so today, yes, to your point, we're going to be talking about Cloud CMA. So Cloud CMA is, one of the leaders in the industry for many years. And so, love to talk to you about that. Also, everyone's dropping their locations. That's great. I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. So I'm a long ways from you on Freedom.
No way. I thought you were from New Jersey for some odd reason. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe New Jersey. I don't know. Anyway, well, I'm glad we're east-west, opposite direction.
East-west.
How's the weather down there? I'm sure it's beautiful.
Oh, it is. We're just starting to get a little hot, but not the beautiful weather like California all the time.
All the time. Yeah, well, it's cloudy over here. So anyway, let's dive into this as people log in. We're talking to Kyle Hunter from Lone Wolf. He's the industry principal there. But I'm going to just dive into this. I'm going to talk a little bit, have him talk a little bit about his strategies and, help us I really want to know how can a professional CMA help you with accurate information, accurate data, accurate pricing to attract serious buyers to avoid those, costs that we all incur when we're trying to market a property. Kyle, tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and just flip on my screen here. Let me know when you can see that.
Okay, cool.
All right, you got it?
Yep, we see it. As you guys log in, our host will definitely post something that is special for you guys that we're introducing. So welcome, everyone. All right, go for it, Kyle.
Sure. So, CMA is a very important part of winning a listing. And, to your point, I know we were talking earlier, in many cases, it's also entered into the buying realm as well. When you're presenting to a buyer to really, with all the changes, you have to, sell your customer and make them understand that you are a professional and you know what you're talking about. And so doing that, really, you need to have, those agents who prepare and to provide really their experience and knowledge sets them apart from other agents who are trying to win that same business. So that's really what we try to focus on. So let me just, I'll just dive in really quick here. So is your current process holding back? We did a webinar on CMA probably about a month and a half ago. There was over 400 people on that webinar. And out of that 400 people, half of them don't use a formal CMA, which I was completely shocked by. So that means they're going in, and we asked, we had to double click on that and say, well, how are you doing it? And they're using Excel and they're, printing out reports. And so, or they're using something from the MLS in some cases, MLSs that are not using a Cloud CMA type solution, it's very basic. And so I was very shocked by that, but it really helps us better understand why, there's a need in the market for, having this information. So.
Yeah, and you have no idea how important that is because, I mean, you want to look presentable, what data you're showing, and you want to know, the data that you're showing. I think it's very important to kind of set that emphasis on a competitive pricing data to prevent the overpricing and such, right? Or underpricing, right?
Absolutely, and those are very important, and we'll talk through that here in a second. But here's a couple things that we've pulled out that we found from users over the many years on why sometimes those agents are not winning the best business by not being prepared. So inaccurate and outdated market data.
Kyle,
So having
real quickly, hey everyone, can you just tell me in the chat box, can you see Kyle's screen? Because I know I can't for some odd reason. Just want to know, just want to make sure. Okay, cool. Yeah.
okay, they can.
I see the screen. Okay, it's probably something on my end, but continue.
Okay, thank you for that.
Awesome.
So yeah, the first thing is we integrate with MLSs. So with that, you're able to provide and pull in inaccurate or, prevent you from having inaccurate data or data that's outdated. In many cases, if you're pulling information from other areas, or, you're relying on some other data that is not coming directly from the MLS, in many cases that can't, not always is correct. So spending time digging through the MLS, that's another area that we help you with, because with Cloud CMA, it identifies that subject property and it looks at a multitude of data points that look for listings that are, particularly, close to that particular listing in various ways, and gives you tons of flexibility. So there's a couple different ways that we do that, and we'll show you how that works. Generic basic MLS data, or CMA reporting information. So having a beautiful design is very important, and that really is what Cloud CMA is strong for, is having a beautiful look and feel, because customers like that. Clients want to see that professional aspect. And then the last thing is, feeling prepared. Like if you're feeling unprepared in looking at this, that Cloud CMA helps you be prepared so that you're presenting your best foot forward. So,
And those are the data and knowing the information, being prepared, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you're looking and you're presenting to a seller, if you're stumbling, if you are not, confident in what you're presenting, a lot of times the consumer can see that, when they're looking to find who's going to present their listing the best, who's going to help them sell for, maybe the highest value, the quickest time, or whatever their specific needs are, you need to make sure that they're confident in the agent that's going to represent their listing. So, that is obviously critical in this process.
Awesome.
So I'm going to move on, and here's what we've had 5 steps to delivering a winning presentation. And I'd love, as we're going through this, Jacka, to basically, if there's anything that calls out that speaks to you, I'd love to kind of talk through it.
Yeah.
But the first thing is pulling local comps with recent sales data. How important is that in your market to make sure that things that are timely and also relevant?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to know your area. You need to know what you're about to sell, possibly, right? So how do you talk to clients about the recent data, the recent numbers, the homes that have been sold in the last 3 months, right? It's important to pull accurate data as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is something that is, critical when you're doing that. The other thing is a nice, clean, branded, customized CMA. So, each one of you in the market, you have your own value proposition that you're bringing. And to reiterate, to bring that custom branding is very important. Like, you're selling yourself, you're selling your brand, you're selling the value that you can bring and help sell that listing. So, that is something that we feel is critical. And I'm sure that you have something, with your brand, and you want to focus and put that out on the forefront.
Absolutely. Another thing,
Per-
so
Mhm, go
Kyle,
ahead.
real quickly before you jump into that, I think highlighting how the CMAs localize with localized data, as we said earlier, to inform the client about the market condition, giving them like the strategic view or the strategic edge to it is what it's all about, correct? Making sure that you give past, present, and possibly the return of what is about to happen right now, the return of investment, if I may say so, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is all part of what you are looking for in that that branded experience. The next one that we'll talk about, and I'll go into it a little more, but that's client objections. So when you go in, and I think you spoke to it earlier, when you go in and you present a price, and you have various properties that you've picked out, how many times does someone say, "But the Zestimate says this,"
Yes.
or the person down the road, I know that my neighbor, 5 houses down sold for this. How do you go about, combating and preparing for that objection?
And I've had so many sellers or even buyers when they're looking at a particular home. Well, the Zestimate says this, and professionally crafted CMA is more reliable than automated online evaluation, such as like we talked about previously, Zestimate. So give us a little bit more information about that. Like, how can we differentiate
Yeah.
ourselves?
Well, and that's a good point. And so the way to differentiate yourself is, when we're going through that, and we'll actually get to that in a second, I'll show you. But with Cloud CMA, it's going to pull in that Zestimate. It's going to pull in that information so that it's transparent. So, Zillow had an iBuying program, and, they started buying the houses for their Zestimate, and then they stopped that program. And, there's a lot of ways to address that right up front, and then using data showing why, basically, your estimate and what your opinion of the value is different and better than the Zestimate. Whereas Zestimate's just using generic data, and you're using very specific, and that neighborhood. So that's just one objection. Obviously, there's others, but that's important to prepare for those objections and know what they could be going in, to a presentation. The other one is, the next one I should say is delivering a presentation confidently. Okay, so
Right.
doing this work ahead of time, again, the consumer can understand and feel your body movement. They can understand how you feel when you're doing this presentation. So having that confident delivery and knowing that everything that's coming through is showing you as in a good light is very important in winning over that potential seller.
And I think the power of the Cloud CMA data will give you that confidence, right? And then sharing that data with accurate information with, saying, hey, this is the real data. This is what it's all about. It'll give you more of that confident edge in talking and discussing.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And then the fifth step is signing that listing agreement. That's important. Like the whole point in that listing CMA is to win that listing and to really start the process, and win that deal. So that is obviously very important. And leading that seller to that point is critical. Last step. So moving on, this is how in the system, there's a couple different ways. So Cloud CMA pulls comps directly from the MLS. So again, it uses various data points exactly from your MLS, and then it shows you, really quickly what those variances are. So if something has, let's say, more square footage, or something has a smaller lot, or whatever those variances might be, you'll be able to do that. Now, there's a couple different ways, and those of you who use Cloud CMA know there's what we call a quick and dirty. And a quick and dirty CMA is something that will allow you to do a quick CMA in 2 minutes, because it will use this algorithm to identify which properties are close. But then you can very quickly say, this one doesn't this one is not a good comp. This one's not a good comp. And you can quickly make it the way you look for. The other way is obviously, your markets. And if there's specific MLS numbers that are, comparable in those areas, then you can just simply upload your CMAs and use that input. But it's very important in choosing the right comps. Again, this goes into that credibility factor so that when you are doing this presentation, that listing owner says, you know what, they know what they're talking about because I can see the data right in front of me on what's sold and what's happened. And many times, when we're talking to users of Cloud CMA, they might pull in that property that's right down the road where the prospective listing agent said, yes, this one's sold, or they might pull in something so they can highlight the differences and why that Zestimate might be incorrect. So that's easy to do right within the application.
And I think Cloud CMA really just provides you with the real data, right? Because like you said, it pulls from MLS. And it just kind of is not just like a estimate. It actually gives you accurate information, what is sold in the past 3 months around that particular property. And of course, you would have to go in there and do some some massaging, so to speak, in that sense. But let me ask you this: in what ways can a professional CMA be used beyond pricing to enhance your marketing strategy, to attract more leads? And I know we all would like good leads, right? That's another part of the business.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a great question. I mean, with a professional CMA, I mean, really, you're able to show the consumer that you're a professional, and it just leads to a lot of good things, whether it's referrals, whether it's the ability to go in and market this online, to leverage it with your social media. There's tools that you can plug this in right in your marketing strategies. And so there's a lot of different ways that it can help you build confidence and drive additional business, because yes, absolutely, leads are critical and something that is pretty much one of the most important things in the business. So winning that over is important. The next area I want to talk about quickly is just creating a polished CMA. So this is another piece that we did have in that webinar I mentioned. Based out of curiosity, we had so many agents that didn't use a professional CMA. They would again use spreadsheets, or they would print out MLS printouts from various listings that they felt it wasn't together. There wasn't a presentation. And that's what Cloud CMA does well. It shows your brand, your marketing strategies. It layers in all of the various pieces of information that you as an agent would want to present to that buyer, with the whole goal of winning that listing at the end. So basically, you can see that entire process. It's not just focused on what is the how much should I sell this property for. It is truly a listing presentation. So we make it super easy to pull in things that might might cater to your market, whether it's some customized marketing strategies, whether it's if you want to layer in iBuyer information, if you want to layer in customized things that you as your team or your brokerage do, you can do that right within testimonials, resumes, anything that you feel will be able to use and help you win this listing, completely customized on each of these MLS or each of these CMAs.
That is so cool, because customization and not just keeping it so focused on just the CMAs. You want to talk about your story. You want to talk about you want to talk about the awards you've won. That's awesome. So you can make this a part of that. Kyle, we have Albert asking a question. He says, we have some areas that we have 3 MLSs active. Will your system pull from all 3 county sales data?
That's a great question. And depending on the MLSs that are combined, it can pull in multiple listings. So yes, I mean, short answer is yes. There are
Okay,
some nuances to various MLSs and how they work, but yes, you can do that.
awesome. Okay, definitely let me know, guys, if you have any questions. We're going to continue. All right, so next, let's go, Kyle.
All right, so preparing for objections. And again, this is timing, pricing, competitors, all the things that types of things that you would see. So again, here's the Zestimate. Well, here's what the Zestimate says. Here's what other valuations say. It's your choice. This is not supposed to be an AVM. And we're very clear. Cloud CMA is not an AVM. It shouldn't be that, because you as the agent are the professional. You're the one who worked in conjunction with your seller to come up what their listing price would be, so that it is accurately priced as best as possible to meet the goals that you're looking to do, whether it's sell quick, whether it's hit a specific pricing that you're looking for within reason, or really combating what other competitors might promise or what they say. So really, whatever objections you have and you're used to having, you build those in so that you can use that in a repeatable, scalable fashion. We also include things like, a Tom Ferry pages with coaching styles and support, and other, some brands, some others will have content that you can utilize right from within.
Awesome. So I guess Angelica just answered the question that Dave had about PDFs. Okay, cool. Thank you, Angelica.
Okay, sorry. Yep, I don't have the questions up, so definitely stop me if you have.
No worries.
We are going to try to leave about 5 minutes for questions, so I'm going to go through here for a couple times. The next is really delivering with confidence. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can deliver the CMA. Obviously, you have the traditional way: put it into a PDF, print it out, have a nice looking book you can bring to them when you're showing up and meeting with them. But obviously, a few years back when COVID hit, we made a quick change to do a live CMA. And this is really neat because you can do real-time CMAs live through a Zoom, a webinar, or on a laptop or a tablet when you're sitting there with the customer, in real time. And this allows you to pick and choose which listings might apply. And so again, you can go through and do this right with the listing owner, on the fly. So this is very cool, seeing this in real time. We've had a couple different experiences over the past several years where agents have showed exactly how they've been successful with doing this. And it's just really cool seeing it in action, where you're in live time, listening to what the owner's telling you, taking that feedback and making those appropriate changes right on the fly.
So wait, I have a question. So you're sitting right in front of the client and you can actually do something live right there on the presentation itself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what a lot of companies, as best practice, they'll have, or agents will say, print out a CMA, hard, nice copy, something that they can physically hand, but then also have their iPad or laptop and pull it up so that they can say, you know what, you don't like necessarily all the comps, or there's a different subset of comps that you're looking at. And then they can live in real time, pull them in, show them, and show how it changes and how it really looks, again, with the goal of convincing the seller that what you are doing and you're a professional, and that's why they should choose you as the listing agent.
Another value add for yourself. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Okay. And then the last is getting that agreement signed. So again, this is where we have a lot of changes, obviously, with the changes in the buyer broker agreement, and so making sure you get to that yes, to that signature. It's more than just the pricing. So the pricing is very important. Competitive market analysis, obviously, you're looking at the pricing and the valuation, but this again is more than that. It's a presentation where you can showcase what you as an agent is going to do to sell this property. What is your marketing plan? What sets you apart? Really helps you get to that signing, even explain how the compensation works. I know, that's not something you generally say, but again, you have to talk about that during this, and it allows you to put all of that information, in a very easy to comprehend, understand, so that at the end, you get that signature, which is the goal, getting that signature at the end.
So Kyle, tell us how do people sign up for this right now? Is there a link they can go to? What's the best way? There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's a great question. So here in the chat, I think you'll have the link there. But also, for lab coat agents, you get an extra $10 a month off of a Cloud CMA and Homebeat plan. Homebeat is really a great bonus. Homebeat allows you to put your prospective customers and past customers on a recurring drip that allows them to see what they're almost like a CMA in their inbox. So
What?
basically, it's a little tool where they can click and choose which listings and kind of keeps them up on the market. So it's a great way of driving repeat business. It's a great way of driving referrals, but also just making sure that you're staying in touch with them because it's valuable. Everyone loves looking and seeing what their Zestimate is or what's closed beside them. The Homebeat gives them that opportunity to basically go in and create their own on the fly. So
You
for all
know,
that, go ahead.
I mean, I'm so excited about that plan because I've been looking at products out there to try to figure out what is the easiest way to send so many of my past clients data. Like I've got clients that are asking me, hey, what's the value of my home now, right? And instead of just going through the MLS and picking and choosing this Homebeat plan, I want to know more about that, Kyle. So maybe next time we can talk a little bit more about that. What do you think?
Absolutely. We should definitely do that because it's you ask about lead generation. This is a lead generator and something that's kind of hidden but very powerful. So next time, maybe we'll jump back into Homebeat. Also, if you do have interest, please feel free to drop your information in the chat, your email, and we'll have someone reach out to you. And then if you have any other questions, if there's any questions in the chat, please let us know. But again, use that LCA or LC Agents promo code to get the $10 discount.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that information, Kyle. And I know Lisa Hunter is asking, and I know everyone wants to know here also. Thank you, Lisa, for asking. What is the cost per month for this?
That's a great question. So cost per month can vary, and I'm not going to give in a dollar amount, but the reason it can vary is because there's certain MLSs that provide certain pieces of it as a member benefit.
Okay.
And so each MLS, so when you go in and you're looking to buy Cloud CMA, you go in and you pull in your MLS or MLSs, and then it will show you kind of the appropriate pricing there.
You know, Kyle, it's such an honor to host you because I have been wanting to do this for get to know a little bit more of a product that actually does provide automated information, yet it also helps me generate leads and post, market certain things that I want to at the same time help me with my past clients. So instead of paper mailing CMAs like I used to, now I could just actually go to Homebeat and add them there, and that's it. That's all I have to do, and you will be the person of you will be the realtor they go to because they're right in front of you all the time, repeatedly, right? You're right there.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of new agents when they start out and they're building their sphere and their CRM. You can basically upload your them into your Homebeat plan and automatically start that drip campaign with valuable information. What is their home worth, and how does it compare to, or not what is their home worth, but how does their home compare to others in the market? And so lots of lead capture points. So definitely very important. So thank you very much. I know.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. Sorry. Before everybody logs off, I do want to let you guys know about the special again. Just go ahead and enter that promo code as well as, there's that $10 monthly Cloud CMA offer that we're giving away through LCA. This webinar is recorded, you guys, and will be up on YouTube, I'm assuming, Angelica. But anyway, Kyle, thank you. And thank you to your entire team for being here. I really want to host you again in regards to Homebeat. So hopefully we'll get that soon. All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Bye.